Station. Around this time last year, the tragic death of one of Nigeria's talented singers was announced. A year later, Ilerioluwa Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad, the controversies surrounding his death remained unresolved. The latest in the case is that a coroner's court sitting in the Ikorodu area of Lagos has threatened to subpoena key witnesses for failing to appear at the ongoing inquest into the death of the late Mohbad. Magistrate Shotobi had ordered substituted services for the witnesses after granting an application by Mohbad's father, Joseph Aloba, to serve a witness summons on additional witnesses through a reputable national newspaper and social media. They include Azeez Fashola, popularly known as Naira Marley, Samson Eletu, also known as Sam Larry, Mohbad's sister-in-law, Karimot Ogunbayo, his lawyer, Oluwasomi Falade, the nurse who was said to have treated him, Feishayo Ogedengbe, and the driver who drove him to the hospital, Fidelis Sabo. The head of the Aloba family's legal team, Taiwo Dumosu, said Mohbad's ally, Boluwatife Adeyemo, otherwise known as Darosha, was the only key witness present at the court sitting on Wednesday. All right, BKO, let me start with you. Justice delayed is justice denied. Nigerians are worried, many Nigerians are worried, that why is this Mohbad situation taking so long to get a solution or perhaps justice?
Well, there are a number of reasons why we find ourselves in this state. And I think even before we go further, we must admit that the police preliminary findings as read to us by the then Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, Owohunwa, who is now AIG, offered what looked like a smoking gun.
Okay.
Yes, because in that preliminary report, the police confirmed that Mohbad was brought to hospital lifeless. And that the auxiliary nurse called to take care of him injected the singer with a cocktail of injections. You see, there's a reason why doctors will space administering of drugs or even injections. So that what is called drug-drug interaction, which can be harmful to the patient, does not happen.
Okay.
And if you are to administer a cocktail of injections, as we saw there, because the police said they found one pack of cetrazone injection, paracetamol injection, several needles, at the scene. The nurse, Feishayo Ogedengbe, was then described by the police as the prime suspect because they suspected that, given the way from their preliminary findings, after those injections were administered, Mohbad experienced goose pimples and was vomiting. So clearly, his body reacted to the cocktail of injections. Now, unfortunately, the toxicology that was done on his remains came a bit too late. To get the best results, you cannot do it long after the person had been buried, because there are some samples that they need to take, from his bladder, and that at that stage you cannot take, because he had been buried for some time, decomposed. before the protest by people like Yabo Ojo pushed the government to exhume his corpse, because it was clearly they underrated the popularity of the boy. Sure. Look at the number of people protested in Ogun State, for example. Sure. They filled the streets, you know, and the police had no choice but to commence an investigation, which those people had demanded for, by saying, okay, a justice for Mohbad. So when you, ideally, and it was also contained in that preliminary report of the police, this kind of drugs, if you want to do this, you must place the patient in an hospital ward, for example, where if you check his BP, you check the oxygen level, you can then quickly, you know what to do at that point. The remedial steps that you can take within the hospital environment, but not within the home. Because if there is a crisis, you are not equipped in that house to respond effectively to the crisis. There is a reason why hospitals will attach you to a computer, for example, where they can read,
monitor,
they can monitor. Yes, that is the point that we are making. And for me as a historian, I always like to go back in time. This is not the first time we lose a famous Nigerian in circumstances so similar.
Tell me. Oh.
Sherubawan, first executive governor of Osun State. Isiaka, the elder brother of the current governor, you know, they used to call him Sherubawan. Sherubawan ko Jawon Laya, you know, was very famous. He died in similar circumstances. I think, let me get this, 10th June 2018. It was an auxiliary nurse that administered injection on him, and he died. That the nurse, Mr. Alfred Aderibigbe, yes, the circumstances were very similar. For me, when that happened, I concluded that, this was the way we lost that man. Oh.
Now history has repeated itself.
Yes. Adeleke died on April 23rd, 2017. But it was on 10th June 2018 that the Osun State High Court ordered the arrest of that auxiliary nurse. I don't know where they are on that matter. Maybe the families have decided to let the matter go. But Professor Lasisi, who testified before the coroner back then, said he died of drug overdose. Perhaps they didn't administer those injections in the right dose. So drug overdose may not necessarily mean. So now, for Mohbad, unfortunately, as I said earlier, because his remains had already been buried for days, the toxicology result was not conclusive. But from the findings, for me, simply reading up what the police said at that time.
If you've been injured at work or in a public or private premises, but
I know that we may not be far from the real cause of the death, you know. But it's unfortunate the death is now being used by celebrities who hate one another, you know, to harass one another, accusing this one of being behind the death. And I looked at the silliness going on, especially on TikTok. I'm saying, what's the meaning of this? What's the meaning of this? You cannot use his death to simply fight one another and chase clouds all over the place. That's irresponsible. We've lost a young man at 27. A generational talent, generational musical talent, and we are trying to politicize his death and use his death to sell cause.
Okay, Moji, let me come to you here. What's the implication of a subpoena, you know, issued to these key witnesses? The key witnesses include Naira Marley, Sam Larry, the nurse, the in-law as well. You know, what's the implication here?
Yeah, because they were the first, quote unquote, accused in this matter. You know, at a point, I think Naira Marley was outside the country. Said he was on a musical tour, so he came back. He presented himself at the police. Same thing with Sam Larry. You know, Mohbad was a Malian, was on Malian records, and he's been. If you've been listening to his songs, he's been singing about how he was being treated, how he wanted to be free and stuff like that. But people didn't listen. But then, one of the key takeaways from the death of Naira Marley, of Mohbad, is the unfortunate incident that happened during NSAS. You know, it took almost 9 months for the DNA result. The toxicology report, it has to be sent abroad because during NSAS, the most modern facility put up by Lagos State government, the Forensic and DNA Center, was burnt down and set ablaze. I mean, that cost millions of dollars to put up. So, and I mean, probably it will have taken just like a week or thereabout. Because
if it was still standing.
If it was still standing. And when people were raising issues that the toxicology report was taking long in US, they sent a report to Nigeria that, you guys should know that people are on queue. There are so many samples that are on queue, and that there's no way they can fast track that of Mohbad. So it's one of the negative takeaways from NSAS. And we are all seeing the result now. So back to Mohbad. Like Jide said, some of the results that could have been, some of the toxicology results, I mean, there was no way, the potency of those samples had really declined as a result of the fact that the father claimed that he died as a Muslim, so he had to be buried almost immediately. So
not as a Muslim, as a young boy.
As a young boy, but that it couldn't just keep the body. So he rushed for the burial. So I think it took almost after a week or two before the body was exhumed. And there's no way, when things like that happen, it's always difficult to get the correct toxicology results.
Okay, BK, just in 30 seconds, you talked about history. It has happened before. It happened again. What are the lessons here? Take away. Just in 30 seconds.
Once you are, I will take more than 30 seconds. If you are, yes, so that I don't deceive you that I say this in so short a time. If you are in that situation, the best place to go is an hospital.
The hospital.
Yeah. Celebrities don't want to be seen, in any of these public places. So they would rather bring a doctor to come and take care of them. Now you've seen that the nurse was not equipped to do that. And once there is a crisis, the hospital is the best place where an emergency, yes, they can give you emergency care. The four walls of your home cannot make that happen. So this is a lesson. People, when you are ill, go to the hospital so that you give yourself a good chance of staying alive. One thing that we have seen is that Mohbad in death is a much more famous artist. In fact, he surpassed international superstars such as Nicki Minaj, Eminem, Lady Gaga, Chris Brown, 21 Savage, and others in terms of streams.
Yes.
Numbers coming from live streams, yes.
Yeah.
He was, as at September 23, 2023, 46th best-selling digital artist in the world, and he secured a record with 6 of his songs on the top table, top 100 chart. 6 of his songs debuted on that chart. He claimed the top spot as the most streamed artist on YouTube during the week September 29 to October 5, accumulating a massive 2.3 million views.
Oh dear.
So this is money that we are talking about here, but it has come after his death. I just hope that his fortune will be well managed so that his surviving son can at least benefit from this.
Okay.
And I talked about, there's a song of his that I like, maybe because I'm a Ronaldo lover and I named my second son after Cristiano Ronaldo, the greatest scorer football has ever seen. And Mohbad said, if I dey play football, I go bench Messi o, bench Neymar, bench Ronaldo o. Tí n bá fẹ́ gbọ́ ọmọ mo máa gbẹ́ mi náà do. No ṣẹpẹtẹrì, no ṣakúṣakú o. Wọ́n lélélélélélélé
wọ́n bá wọ́n rí o.
Abẹ́rẹ́ á lọ kọ́nà òkun tó di. Ó dojú àlàkà tó ríra wa. Wọ́n ní abẹ́rẹ́ á lọ kọ́nà òkun tó di.
Can somebody give us a bass and
I think I need to take BKO to the studio. You know, John Jazzy should hear this. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's go to our next story.